Hey, greetings and welcome to Code Quickie. And today we're going to be looking at properties in Google Drive API. So most importantly, please reach out to me in the comments below. Always want to help my fellow developers as they go for the GCP search. Always want to get insights as I go for my GCP search. All right, so let's begin with the overview. Right, so what we have is properties in Google Drive API, and Google Drive API, as we all know, consists of files. On those files, you can use our apps to place properties on those files so that we can have even more metadata. And when I say properties, I mean custom properties. We can make our own properties in addition to the file metadata that you see on Google Drive. And we're going to see how to do that today. So let's get started. And before I begin, I just want to give out a shout out to Angular. And I know I say this in videos, always reach out to me in the comments if I do this too much. The Angular is the framework, right? The web framework built by Google, GCP built by Google. They just go hand in hand so beautifully, and we're going to be using them for this lab today. So what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and download the web app at this link, right? And we want to download it, right? You click on code and download the zip like so. And now what we want to do that we've downloaded, we want to open up the terminal into the root of the folder, and we want to go ahead and run this command, not comment, I'm sorry about that. We want to work with process, right? We want to work with process, okay? And we are going to let it run, and we're going to let it build, right? After a while of which, right, we want to go ahead and set up our credentials. So now let us head over to the properties directive. And now we want to give ourselves access to our credentials like so. And now we're going to head over to console.developers.google.com. It's the old drive access page that's coming up right now. We're going to head over to the credentials, and we're going to go ahead and create an API key. Look, we want to restrict that key. All right, we want to go ahead, restrict the key. Okay. Right, to our Drive API, because there's a lot of powerful and expensive APIs in here you don't want to pay for at the expense of hackers, right? Always want to restrict those before you go. And now I want to head over to want to go ahead make an Oauth client, web applications your app type, and then JavaScript origin will be for this lab, HTTP localhost at port 8000. I know the default port is Angular at port 4200, but I take care of that for you in the settings. So don't worry about a thing and don't stress about a thing. And if you do want to know more, take a look at angular.json. Let's head over there right now. Right, angular.json. This is the serve command, and I use the port of 8000. Right, in the future videos, definitely want to go over Angular, much insights when it deals with Angular, TypeScript, and definitely work with Angular.json. Angular.json is a powerful configuration file, and in all my years of coding, it's the configuration file that actually mattered most to their projects, right? A lot of people don't know about Angular JSON, but Angular JSON is very powerful, right? You're looking at the hot module reload that with Angular 11 that allows you to load in without refreshing the browser, which is nice, right? So once that's all set up, as you can see, I had a little error there, right? My fault, but oh wow, the page actually popped up. Interesting, right? So that is great. You're good. You're ready to go with this application. All right. So now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to be able to load the SDK. We want to give ourselves authorization access to start this lab and get this lab going. Always get confused, authentication, authorization. So please correct me in the comments. I think it's authorization. I think they just know that I have a credentials need to use the app. Can I use what I want? Can I do what I want to do with this app? Right? I think that's the real question. So we copy and paste this code like so. Right? And first time this app is getting set up, right? You want to click on advanced, and you want to go over to quick start. And the concept of apps we're going to discuss later, right? Because we're going to need two apps to work with properties today. So we're going to discuss that soon. But now I want to click on go to quick start, right? And now we are going to go ahead and allow like so, right? Right. So now we are set up, we are logged into the application, right? And we want to just take a look at some of the auxiliary helper, auxiliary. That's what you see. Aux means helper, right? You're just making some important endpoint requests, such as create a file, get all the files, right? You're going to see this throughout for the lab, and we want to look for a specific file, filter for file. That's another function there, as well as a little bit of TypeScript typing. As you can see, you have an array, you have the endpoint, right? And you have the request body, and then you have some HTTP metadata, right? You can look at that. We get over that. It's not the focus, but I will focus on TypeScript in upcoming video. So now what we want to look at is create properties and understanding the meaning of the app. Right? Don't worry about the meaning of the app right now. We just want to focus on just our app creating properties on a file. So what we're going to go ahead and do is you want to take this object, want to head over to the environment, into our environment file, environment.drive, and want to scroll all the way down to where our props is, right? You know, all those objects were from previous labs. I should place them up front. And place property object here, right? We want to copy and paste like so. And then we want to head back over to the properties directive, and we want to copy and paste this code like so. Right. Interesting little, okay, great. And now we have, right, so we go ahead, create a file, and now this is how we create a properties. It should be, I wanted the syntax to be much more simpler than this, but I definitely, you know, with all the labs, if you've been watching me throughout the videos, I definitely, you want to shake it up a bit, and I felt like I did by introducing you to IIFE, and all IIFE does is for you GCP developers out there, it brings optimization, right? It decreases storage, increases performance, and we're using IFFEs here just to decide whether you want to work with properties or app properties, right? So as that's set up, go ahead and take a look at the UI in the console, right? And we can see our properties, right? That our app has created, right? So this means to see its properties and app, not app properties. This means that we all the apps that this and that code clicky uses that are attached to the drive, they could see that property. And as an app developer, we might not want that, right? But before we can continue and try to do something about this, we need to understand what an app is, right? Because it's been throughout, if you've been with me throughout the series or even now, the app was basically at the back burner, was an app I thought, I'm going to go and just keep it simple. The app entity, just write it down. Just write it down. Actually, write it down. Update as I go. Wow, just scrolled all the way up. Project. All right, and let's see if I can scrap. Yeah, right. So the app entity is a GCP project. That's all it is, and all that means for us is that in order to make the abstract practical, tangible, something we could get familiar with, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and make a second project. So that's what we're going to kind of do, right? Because I console.cloud, console.developers, we want to do, go ahead and make a new project. We already have a project ready to go. I'm going to choose this friendly chat project on console.cloud, right? And what I want to do is, for you guys, I want you to create a new project, right? You could give it friendly chat, whatever you want. And after like so, I want you to head over to this link. I have this link as well as the workshop in the video description. I want you to head over to the drive page in this new project, right? Because it's enabled in the first app, but it's not enabled in the second app. Mine is enabled, but there's just going to be a button that will have you enable the app so that your second project can actually work with the Drive API. So after like so, we want to head over to console.developers.google.com, right? And what we want to do is we want to choose our project as well if it's not switched there already, right? And we want to go ahead and give ourselves an API key and Oauth, right? So API key like so, same thing right here. I need to back it up, right? Back practice. Let me just edit it, but you know, it's really the same thing as we've done before in this application already, right? So you just want to go ahead, set that up like so. And now what we want to do is, now an important part, pay attention, what we want to do is for where we had to insert our credentials here, what we want to do is we want to comment out the first one, and we want to provide the second one like so. Right, so this is how we would do it. What I want you to do is to, right, where is it? Right, is to comment out the credentials for the first, and right, I want you to use the API key and the client ID from the second app, paste it like so. And now you go ahead and grab that API key, right? Make sure they're both the API key and the client ID are from the second app. Don't try to mix match them. Security reasons probably won't allow to have them. I have not tried this myself, right? So right there's my second app. It's ready to go. Now what I want to go ahead and do, I want to see the properties from the second app. Right now I just want to demonstrate this. We go ahead, take our props out, JSON, and replace that. So now we can see C is true and all is true. Right, so once that is set up, we are ready to go back to the Angular application, and it's going to ask us to sign in again. Right, so after we signed in, obviously gave the second app the same permissions as the first app, we're good to go. And you notice that because the first app, the title's name is Quick Start, and then the second app is whatever the name of the project is. Even like the first app cannot be Quick Start probably for you. It'll probably be a different name according to the project that you have. Like definitely when you set up these apps, you're going to see that without a project, you're not going to get very far. So you need to create a project first. Right? And hopefully reach out to me in the comments if anyone had issues creating projects. I'd definitely love to help out. And so what we want to go ahead and do is after we place that properties object, we want to head over back to the directive, and we want to be able to have these third parties look at the properties. Right, so we're going to copy and paste this code like so. Right, and now we get to see our properties, right? So this is basically the second app able to look at the properties of the first application, right? We don't want this, right? So what we're going to go ahead and do is like that first file is already deleted. What we're going to go ahead and do now is what we want to do is we want to head over back to our credentials, right? Comment out the second one and then uncomment the first client ID. And now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to copy and replace, right? So now, and we're going to take a look at the properties directive again. And so we saw that create.solo is true. And we see here in my iffy props let's see, props.create.solo. If that's true, right, we're gonna make app properties, right? And let's just change this up. Tagging today. Just change that up a bit. right? So the app, so the first app, right? We made the app properties instead, right? And the second one won't be able to see the app properties, right? So what we're going to go ahead and do is now we are going to go back to our environment as you have guessed, right? We are going to comment out the first app. We're going to use the credentials for the second app, and then we are going to copy and replace. They say copy and paste a lot in an environment. In this environment, LOL, copy and replace. LOL, who gets the pun, who gets the joke. I know it's corny, but that's what happens when you get good at programming. You get very, very corny, right? And I'm very, very nervous to see if this will work, right? So just looking at this object, right, we see that if props.c.run is true, props.c.solo is true, right? So our second, and just want to make sure that our second app is trying to look at the app properties, right? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, run the application, right? And we get an empty object. We weren't able to see, we weren't allowed to see anything. Like so. As you can look at this iffy right here, right? We're asking for app properties, but since we are not the original app who made it, as you can see like so, we cannot see it. However, if I go back to the original app and I ask for those properties again, wait, I might not be able to see because I actually deleted the file. Oh, yeah, that's okay. I deleted the file, but yeah, I won't go through that. You know, this video, you guys will try it yourselves, you know, try to modify the code so that you guys can see what happens if the first app looks for the API, and the hint is that you just need to remove this code, all this HTTP delete, that's deleting the file that's actually allowing you to see that. Right? And make sure you don't create another file. Make sure there's really one file in there, or else it's just going to kind of throw you off as there's going to be multiple. Because in this lab, what we're doing, as you can see here, we are creating a new file just to get this lab to work. Right? So a little challenge for you guys. See if you get the first app to look back for app properties without, and let me know. And in the description, let me know how it goes. So once again, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, reach out to me in the comments. I always want to help our fellow developers get their GCP certs. I always want you guys to help me get my GCP certs as well. Thanks for watching.